And hello, everybody. Welcome back to Nerdy Over 30, the podcast where we talk about movies, games, and everything pop culture. As always, I'm Jonathan. Here with me are the boys, David and Chiba. How's it going?
What's up?
And today we have two very special guests. One you might already know, Calvin, the Statue Fanatic, and Amado Batour. I hope I said that right. He is the co-founder and president of Figpin. How's it going?
Woo!
So let's get right into this. We're very excited. Calvin's been talking to us about this for a while, that we can get you on. So thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
How did this all start? What's your background? Like, how did this all come into play? Because Figpin's a pretty big company.
And what is Figpin for the people that don't know?
That's true.
It's a good start. Well, first, I know we talked about this a second ago, but I have to explain why I'm just like a floating head in black space here. I'm in a parking lot in New Jersey. I tried to get to an office where I could have a proper call, but this is where I ended up. So, hello there.
Well, we do appreciate you being on time no matter what, which was awesome.
Blink twice if you need help.
Okay, there's someone walking up to me.
Yeah, I mean, we can dial 911. Just let us know where you're at.
So it's really the Figpin's kind of easier question to answer than my background. I just have a really weird background, but I'll try to give you like a super condensed version of it. My background is really all about like doing things or studying to do things and never doing them. So I have and I think a lot of people could probably relate to that. I have a bachelor's
100%.
And so I graduated from architecture school, and the first thing I decided was to not practice architecture. I ended up to like the land of exhibit design, because like coming out of school, architecture is like a very slow profession. If you start working on a building or on a house, it might take you years and years for it to finish. Where in exhibit design, these are like the big booths for trade shows and stuff like those things get designed in like weeks, and then they get built in weeks, and then you get to travel all over the world setting them up. And so it just really was attractive to me, and I got sucked into that world of exhibit design. I was also an adjunct professor for a long time teaching architecture, which is funny, but so I did that for a long time, and I did a master's degree in mechanical engineering, which is another thing that I studied and I didn't work in. A chance to kind of work on this other side of my brain, if you will. And then after that, I had a startup called Switch to Health, or S2H, where we designed activity trackers for kids, primarily for kids, but also adults, that, you put on for the kids. They put them on their wrist, they do an hour of activity, and then they get a reward code for that hour of activity. And so the more they are, the more rewards they earn. We ended up selling that company to Fitbit. And because
I was about to say, it's like a Fitbit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like there were two companies that tried to acquire what we had done. One was Fitbit, the other was Apple. And believe it or not, Fitbit offered us more money. And so, that was like a long startup, a long project. And so when I got out of it, I was kind of in this like weird health space. And through a series of like weird connections and I ended up with a company called Noom as their creative director. You might have heard of them. It's a weight loss app out there. So I worked in that space for a while, and during that time, I was also freelancing with someone that I had met while I was doing S2H, and this person, his name is Dan Williams. He's one of the co-founders of Figpin. And so I was doing freelance work with him. We were designing like interesting like consumer products, and he was like, it would be really cool to take like hard enamel pins and make them in such a way where they could stand up, because he really liked that format or that medium. And so we started tinkering with that, and we got to a point where I was like, Dan, I think for this thing to really work, you really need to define an art style for it, because as you guys know, with enamel pins, it's the art styles are infinite. You could do it however you want.
Yeah.
And Dan happened to run into this guy named Eric, who's the other co-founder of Figpin, who's our principal artist. He's the guy who defined really the style of Figpin. And that's really how we started Figpin. So to get to your second question, like what is Figpin and what is a Figpin? Figpin is a mashup of two bigger pin or an enamel pin. And the idea was, can you make, 3-inch, it ended up being 3-inch. We experimented with different sizes, but can you make like a 3-inch enamel pin that's really more figural than it is like wearable? So if you say, well, we want something figural and it's a biped or a hero standing there, and you want to elevate it as a product, you probably want to put it up on a pedestal, right? Like literally. And if you see our product, it has this like nice base to it. And then if you wanted to make it like really premium and feel special, you want to encase it in like a museum display, and that's what our product is. It's these 3-inch hard enamel figural pins that are presented in a really like upscale way. And we were like, let's see what happens. And we got the first one out, which was a Mike Piazza, and then we did some Dragon Ball pins and some Tekken pins and I can't remember the one of the first ones. It was Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda.
Mass Effect, yes.
Yeah, and so it started to pick up steam. I think when we got Figpins into GameStop, we really started seeing some traction there of Dragon Ball, and anime was like really getting popular at that time. And now we're like 1,100 SKUs into this thing. Like we've made a lot of Figpins since then. And so to keep answering the question, what is a Figpin? It's, again, 3-inch hard enamel pin, all original art inside this premium display case, this collector case. But I think one of the most profound differences is that on the back of each Figpin, there's an alphanumeric serial number that's laser engraved, like it's burned right into the metal. And what that does is it allows the collectors to one, discover why that one is unique, right? We say every single Figpin is unique, even if we made like 1,000 of the same character. Each one is unique because it has a unique serial number, and it also has unique attributes. So you have the what we call the factory score, and this is stuff that you find in the app. If you take a Figpin, you download the Figpin app, you put in the serial number into the app, it'll show you what edition the pin is, how many of it were made, what number yours is in the production run, and then the scoring engine will give you a score based on those attributes. So that's like one part of the experience in the app. And then the other part is that you could start increasing your score based on what you do with it as a collector. So the more you engage with the community, the more you engage with the pin, and I can explain what that means, the more what we call Figpin power the pin has. And it was like five years ago or so, it was a little bit of a it was hard to convince people that this is something that we should do, because we come from the land of in the collectible space, we come from the land of like stickers. Like if it has the sticker on it, then it's special.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so if you have two of the same object, two of the same product, and one has a sticker on the outside box and the other one doesn't, one sells for a lot more than the other. And we came at this saying, well, no, that think of it in a completely different way. Think about the unique serial number on the piece itself, and that is what starts you on the journey. And you as a collector could actually increase the value of the pin by what you do with it, right? And so I always give these examples. I used to use like a different example. I'm gonna try my hand at a new one, right? Let's say you have two cars that were manufactured at the same time, same factory, same assembly line. They're both sports cars, and one of them stayed in some guy's garage for 20 years, and the other one went on to race at 20 different races and was was a championship car, and then this movie star owned it, and then this and that and the other thing. They're the same car, right? Exactly the same car. One of them, you argue, is probably in worse condition than the other, because it's really been driven and scratched up. And so the question is, which one has more value, right? And so I've always argued the car that has the story has more value to it, because that's what collectors like. Collectors are not just about the object, but they're about the story. Yeah. And so what the Figpin app really is about is it's giving the collector a chance to embed that story, to embed that value in their collectible. Have we succeeded in convincing collectors of that? Absolutely not. But that's like that's the hill I'm willing to die on, because I think it's so powerful. And now we're seeing that with NFT, right? We're seeing that there's a whole platform that's trying to differentiate why one exact copy of another is different, right? Because you could take one JPEG and make 1,000 copies of it, but the one JPEG is more valuable than the other JPEGs. And so this is and now with NFT, they're actually kind of coming around and saying that wouldn't it be nice to have a physical token with your NFT, right? Yeah. And this is like only in the last 8 to 12 months that people are talking about it would be cool to have a physical thing with NFT. Whereas when it first started, it was like, no, man, why would you want anything physical? It's all about digital. And I think they're realizing that humans like to touch things, like humans like to.
Yeah. Yes. It's all about that physical media.
It's all, yeah. So we've been in like digital physical bridge for a long time now. I've been in it like from my previous company, because we were all about the serial numbers and the codes that you generate with your own activity. Yeah. So one of these, I was actually looking at some old DEX presentations the other day, and one of the products that I really, really wanted to do, but we just never got around to making it happen, was like a little game, like a computer game for kids, where your character is powered by your physical activity. So in other words, if you wanted your character to like jump higher, you go out and you do another hour of activity, and then you take this thing and you kind of plug it into your little USB, cradle, and then your character's like power level goes up, because now you did that extra, you did like 30 minutes of jumping jacks or something, right? So this idea, yeah, go ahead.
So basically, if you're in the Olympics, you're like the best in the game.
Yeah.
Sports. So go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
I remember like back in the day, people would be like, well, what if my kid like took this thing and went out and ran for like 3 hours? Like, wouldn't he be gaming the system? I'm like, no, that's actually a good thing. That would be a good thing if they did that. So yeah, this idea of bridging the physical and the digital is so key. Every single person in society now, in modern society, carries this little smartphone with them that captures all aspects of their life, their personal life, of their financial life, everything is right there. So why should collectibles stay on the shelf at home? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, those collectibles should be with you, that you should be able to share them and explore them and interact with them on the go or digitally.
Yeah. Just looking at my collectibles now and wondering why can't they move?
We're working on it.
Oh man, but it's interesting though. This whole movement with NFTs and physical collectibles. I feel like it's a constant war between the two, and that goes beyond just fig pins or just NFTs. Like we can talk about like T-Bud, you can relate.
Yeah.
Movies. People are going from physical copies like steelbooks, collectible steelbooks to now we have the digital. The digital world is trending kind of.
I was actually thinking the same thing. Like digital is winning a little bit rather than the physical. Especially look at all these Best Buys. I was at like 2 Best Buys over the weekend, and it was like nothing physical media. It's crazy.
But I think you'll find that the things that are going to die are the things that are hanging on to the past,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I you'll find that in the future, when you have digital media being delivered that has some kind of meaningful, it's not just about like, can you mimic an old, set tape or mimic an old DVD case? Like, it has to have something meaningful. Then that bridge becomes like complete. It becomes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Right.
you would think over the years, all the things that have happened with the music industry, the movie industry, that we would have learned that, if you hold on to this legacy type stuff, you'll always find yourself trying to play catch up as opposed to being innovative in a certain space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I've always thought that the whole serial number thing was a great idea. I come from, I used to work for Kid Robot, if you're familiar with the company. So I used to do third-party buying for Kid Robot. And I always loved the idea of like numbered, and like there's some that are more rare than the other. But the idea of taking that and making it in a digital space where everyone can share and you can share with everybody is great, because there's collectors like us who we only talk to each other and we can only share our collections with each other. But to be able to share your collection with the whole community, I think it's a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Very social.
Fact that the fact that no one has done that yet is really, for me, mind-boggling. One of the side projects that I've been trying to bring to life for years now, as part of this Figpin experience, is the product. I call it Shelf. Right. It's a platform that takes everything we've learned from Figpin and enables all collectors and collectibles to have it. So, one of the things I see on social media that just it breaks my heart is like you'll see like a Goku Figpin, like it's always a beautiful photograph, like a Goku Figpin with like a Funko Pop Goku and a plush or something, and then some really nice figure of Goku. They're all next to each other, and I'm like, why doesn't this collector get a chance to share his love for this character across all these products in the way that we do it with Figpin? So the app Shelf, and this is something that I'm, I still want to put it out there. It's just I'm having a hard time cloning myself. It's like is like to enable all collectibles to have that kind of provenance that Figpin has, to have that kind of collecting gamification that the Figpin app has, and so that people start collecting across their fandoms and not across the products. Right? Figpin is a very product specific collecting methodology, like in the app. And so the example I always give to people is like, imagine you having to download an Instagram version app for everything that you like. So you download your BMW Instagram app and your Figpin Instagram app and your Funko Instagram app. That's absurd, right? Like you would never do. Instagram is this one place where all these brands and all these fans and all these communities come to interact with one another, and so Shelf really wants to do that for all collectibles. But again, the cloning project is not working.
Well, we would all definitely download that app for sure if that came out. So you got some fans already of that idea.
Absolutely.
So Figpin is like, you guys do a lot of licensings. How do you guys decide what
Yeah.
licensings you're gonna do? Like, you
Yeah.
guys have so many licensing. I wouldn't even know where to start to begin.
And I
Oh,
want to
we're gonna
know
do
the
this one.
hurdles about that. Like, I mean, it's no easy task to get a license from what I've seen.
It's not, and I think it's about money, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's about, what I mean by that is, like, the whole point of licensing IP, intellectual property, from all these companies is so that they make money off of it, right? So that the creators and the distributors and all of these guys can figure out a way to keep making more stuff. So I think first and foremost, the licensors want to see a compelling reason, a compelling model, as to why they should offer that license to someone,
Mhm.
right? And so you take a license of anything. I'm not going to mention anything specific, but you take a license, and that thing is like, it's like a pie, right? It's sliced up into 100 different ways, and they're going to say, well, this slice is going to go to like apparel, and this slice is going to go to toys, and this slice is going to go to like home furnishings, and this slice to collectibles, and this slice to enamel pins, and so they slice it up, and they try to find the best homes for each one of these slices that's going to generate the most revenue, and also represent the brand well. You know, you guys have probably seen plenty of licensed products that just really suck.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And so even if they're doing well, and even if they're paying money, the licensor is, well, I mean, it depends on the licensor, I'm sure, but the licensor is going to be like, oh, I wish there was something better out there. So we were, in the beginning, we were in a really weird situation because, you know, everybody makes enamel pins. Like, every license has enamel pins. And I think one of the smartest things we did, and I think, you know, you got to give Dan Williams like props for this, is that we said, like, well, it's not really a pin, right?
Mhm.
It's a figural pin, right? It's like it's really more like it's more of a figure than it is a pin. Yeah, it does have pins on it, but it's like 3 inches, so it's not really a pin, and it's really a collectible. So a lot of the licensors kind of, they either found that slice, or they just created that slice for us, where they're like, yeah, you know what, that we'll buy that argument. It's not a pin, it's a collectible figural thing. And so how did we get all these licenses? It was really like one at a time. You know, the very first license, and I could be wrong about this, might have been Mass Effect or Dragon Ball.
Wow.
But you know, you convince the first license, and then you go to the next license and you say, hey, they bought into it. Don't you want to buy into it? Let's do it. Free. And you start building momentum, and I think to give Eric props, a lot of the initial licensing deals didn't happen because, like, we smooth talked our way in there, but like, Eric would literally set a fig pin down on the table, and he's like, this is what we do, you know, like, this is what we're looking for. And oftentimes the licensors would be like, wow, we've never seen anything like this. Let's figure out how to make this happen. So there's a lot of that, right? There's a lot of salesmanship. There's a lot of just look at the product, it's really great. There's a lot of this finding that right kind of lane for us in the license portfolio that they have. And I could tell you now, we're in a place where licensors are calling us, and they're saying, hey, we really like what you're doing. Can we get a license? I'm not going to say who, but if I did, you guys will fall out of your chairs.
Okay.
We got this one license by way of our support tickets, where they're licensing.
I'm holding on to my chair right now.
And to support ticket, like to like, you know, info@Figpin or something, saying, hey, I'm blah 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 with this license, we'd love to inquire about working with you. And we're like, what? This this is how you're doing it? Like, you guys just think, should it there be like an entourage that shows up?
God, I wish you could tell them.
Yeah, I know. You're like killing us
I wish
now.
you
We're
could
both
tell
sitting
them.
here like,
I'm like, come on.
Quentin Tarantino.
I'm like
No,
leaning
just
in,
kidding.
like maybe there's a hint.
well, my next question was going to be, are there any licenses that you haven't worked with that you would just love to work with, or something that's like your dream license that you haven't worked with yet?
Boom.
100% Nintendo.
Oh, yeah, that would be
Of
clutch.
course.
I know they're hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be killer. And they actually make really beautiful pins
Mhm.
already.
Yeah.
So they haven't heard my sales pitch that they're not pins. Yeah, and like I'm kind of part but part not. Like I think if the folks over there can hear that argument, right? Like we're not trying to like touch your pin business. This is a different thing. I've made the argument internally, and they think I'm insane, I think, to actually not have pins on our fig pins, right? Like I think we've gotten to a point where the majority of our fans collect these things not because they have 2 or 3 pins on the back of them, but because they're collectible, right? So to me, the function of your product shouldn't define what the product is, and so like we could probably do something where you could like click on different ways of like mounting the pin, if it's a magnet or pin or whatever.
Magnet probably.
Yeah, but this idea that like we're a pin first is just I just don't. I don't know. I don't personally. I don't think that is true. I think when people say, "What is this thing?" I say it's a fig pin, and they're like, "What's a fig pin?" I'm like, "It's a fig pin."
A figurative pin.
It's basically its own thing.
I'll make the argument that a fig pin doesn't need pins. I'm that guy.
Well, I would 100% agree with you, because the fig pins that I've had over the years, I would not take out of the case. I think David has some next to him that he probably wouldn't take out of the case.
Oh,
He just got the New York Comic-Con ones there.
I had to, man.
So when you say not taking out of case, you haven't put them in the app?
What's that?
You haven't put them in the app yet?
It loses its quality.
Shame on me.
We just talked
do it.
about that. We talked about that story.
I know.
I
know,
can't
man.
do it.
But I would agree. Yeah, I don't think you need the pin on the back for fig pin. It is kind of its own thing at this point. Yeah.
Because if you put a pin, it's a pin. Our friend puts his pins on his hat, so you're not gonna put a whole fig pin
No, we got a friend of ours that loves.
Yeah, he's a savage collector.
Oh,
he's like a savage pin collector, and he's actually just started getting into fig pins.
Yes.
Shout out to Vlad.
He actually waited. How many hours did he wait on the fig pin line?
He waited
at Comic-Con?
at Comic-Con, the fig pin line. He waited like 3 hours.
3
This
hours.
this is New York.
This
Yeah,
is
this is New York
New York.
Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the ones that I just showed you, he picked it up for me.
Oh wow.
Best friends.
But
Good.
did you expect conventions to become such a crazy thing and event exclusives when you guys started?
Like, so when I started, I told you I was doing exhibit design and stuff. Like that was exhibits and trade shows was like pharma stuff, like pharmaceutical stuff. And so I'm like the biggest outsider to the world of cons and
This is true.
I personally don't collect anything.
Wow, bless your heart.
That's good for you.
I've never been to cons. Like I kind of knew about them a little bit. And I think I would make the argument that the reason Figpin is what it is because you had people that were not from that space creating a product for that space. Because if we all had come from like collectibles and pins and this and that, we probably have produced something very different. We came at it from left field, and we made something that is that was weird at that time, different. Like when we were talking to like Disney pin trading people, They're like, why would you put it in a box? And I'm like,
Yeah, that's a whole nother beast, Disney pin trading people.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah, like,
they're crazy.
almost angry about it. Like, you don't put pins in a box. You put them on a card and you hang them on the freaking shelf, and that's how God intended pins to be. And so we're like coming at it from this like totally uninformed, uneducated place. And I think it worked. It made something special there.
Yeah.
So shoot, you asked me a specific question. I was trying to answer it, and I just
no, I was. So, did you expect the whole
yeah.
con circuit to be as crazy as it is?
Yeah. So I knew So I knew trade shows like cardiology shows and stuff like that. Like it's different, totally different scene. And so when I went to the first like trade show or con or two, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Oh, I always say my absolute favorite thing about cons is that everybody's happy there. Like everyone's accepted, everyone's happy, whatever shape, color, fandom, it doesn't matter. You are loved there and you are happy there. And
That's
to
very
me,
true, actually.
that's something just that's really unbelievable in this day and age, that there's still a place where you go and experience that. And so our first con was Emerald City Comic-Con in 2019. And we were like, well, yeah, we'll get a booth and we'll bring some exclusives. And again, total noobs. We did have someone with us at the time, Yoko. You guys might know her. She had come from Funko, and she was kind of showing us the ropes, and she was making us kind of understand what this world is about. The point of the story is we didn't think anything was going to happen at Emerald City Comic-Con. We thought we'd go there and maybe sell some pins. And so the show opens up and we see these people like running towards our booth, and this line starts forming. The line gets longer, then it gets longer and longer. And holy shit, what's going on here? Like, why are people waiting in line to buy our product? It really, I know this sounds like a little bit of a humble brag, and it's not. It's just like we didn't understand why do that. And then that same year we went to San Diego. Like, they gave us this little 10x10 space in the middle of nowhere, and we still weren't really sure. We're like, how will this go? Same thing, huge line. And I think after San Diego, we're like, we have something special here. Like, for people to like wait in this line to buy this little thing that we're making, we have something special here. And then we did D23 that year, and then closed out 2019 with New York Comic-Con.
I remember the New York Comic-Con booth the first year you guys did it, and it wasn't a very big booth, but I remember waiting on that line for a long time.
And let me ask you something. What was the first biggest, like, what was the first exclusive that really like made that line happen? Like, what was the first Figpin that you guys created that you feel brought that hype to Figpin?
I think what had happened is before Emerald City, we had done a drop or two on Figpin.com that were limited and that sold out very quickly. So I think that was like a counterpoint to people knowing about the product and seeing it in GameStop and maybe another store or two. So I think that created a narrative that, yeah, these guys are established. That's what like GameStop does to the perception, and that they also have these things that sell out in 2 minutes on .com. So if they're coming to con, there's probably something really special there. Because if you ask me to remember the lineup from 2019, I think we had like an XL Spider-Man and
yes, I actually remember
Captain Marvel,
Marvel, and it's not like a lineup that is burned in my memory. But I think it was that like counterpoint of these guys are in these stores, like they're making it and their stuff is selling out really quickly. We're gonna bet on them at the cons.
Okay. And how do you determine like how limited a Figpin is gonna be?
Oh my God,
Wow.
I know that's a loaded question, man, but
I'm interested in hearing this one too, guys.
we got this big dartboard in the office.
I would actually believe that if you said that.
I'm interested in hearing this answer.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors, right? And in no particular order. As a business, it's always nice to actually pay for the thing that you're developing, right? So I always make this joke, like the perfect run size for a Figpin is 1 of 1, but every collector gets one, right?
in the perfect world.
You get the feeling like that's what people are asking for, like make it as small as possible, but you better make sure I get one. And so this is the kind of like, this is the dilemma that we have is, you make it too small and it actually ends up being a losing business proposition. You just can't recoup the cost of the licensing, the development, the sampling, the testing, the shipping, the stickering, the credit card process. You add all that stuff up and it's not, like you're not going to make a lot of money off of 500 piece run. You can't build a business that has 24 employees on a 500 piece run, but you could use those small runs to start fights at cons. And like get like a lot of like attention, build hype as right. The other thing I want you to consider is like as the brand is kind of changing, as it's going through its growing pains, we have to be responsive to where the brand is. So as I was saying before, like the thing that made Emerald City our first year big was this counterpoint of .com and being out in retail or in big box stores. In 2020, like before pandemic, we started going into Target and Walmart and Walgreens and Best Buy and all these stores. And so we were trying to figure out what does a common run size look like? And then what is a counterpoint to a common run size that's exclusive to Figpin? So, we'd have pins that were getting 10, 20, 30,000 pieces of them made. Right. You see all of that in our app, like we're the only company in the world, and this is probably not the smartest thing to do, but we're the only company that right. And so we had these pins that were 10, 20, 30, 40,000 pieces, and so we had to develop run sizes that were counterpoints to those, right? So a 30,000 piece main character, how big of a LE run size do you do? Is it 500 or is it 1,000 or is it 2,000 pieces? And then the run size is also determined by the appetite that the community has. So if you look at the Goku number 11 or 1050, I don't remember his number, the one from New York Comic Con, that really nice white and black with the glow in the dark. That was a 2,000 piece run, sold out, right? And so because we hear it a lot, like, you guys, your run sizes are too big, you have to keep it at 500. That's why my comment about 1 and 1. So we're stuck in this like hell between 500 and 2,000. Like every number we pick between 500 and 2,000 is wrong.
You can't please anybody.
Go 2,000 and he's sold out, and everybody loves him, and everybody that has him says he's one of the best pins we've ever made. So was that a bad decision to make him LE 2000? I don't think so.
No, I would think that it elevates the brand a little more. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys start seeing like all of the kind of things that have to go into that run size. On the flip side, I also make a joke that people don't find funny. Is like, we can make we could draw like a turd and make a Figpin LE 50 or LE 100 or LE 300, and it'll sell out. Right.
I'm going on the line right now.
I can't lie. We would probably buy that.
That's it. Say less. Figpin.com.
So what does that mean? What does that mean if we make something that's not part of some big fandom, but it's super limited? Are we being like, I think what's important is to be respectful of the fans, and to support them both ways. One is to actually give them a chance at acquiring the thing that they want, and then two, not overproducing the thing that they want. And it's an impossible task, but we're
It's a
trying.
gamble. It's a gamble.
Yeah.
Now, would you guys ever consider doing like a giant, like limited edition kind of thing? Like, like I don't know, any Figpin, like how Funko sometimes does those jumbo size Funko Pops.
So
Would
let
you
me
guys
do
ever
the
do
XL.
Yeah.
like well, yeah, okay.
Like a 9-inch fig pin.
I'm gonna let Calvin answer.
This story will never die, Amado. This story is never gonna die.
You held up the Titan before, right? That I think that was the Attack Titan.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that was the Titan.
And we see a lot of comments like, dude, that should be an XL. And I'm like, well, not really, because like Attack Titan is it's like 50 stories tall or so, like with scale, you either do it right or you don't do it. That's scale,
Why
right?
can't I act that then?
And so now I've taken to using Hot Wheels as an example. I'm like, look at Hot Wheels. They'll have like a Mini Cooper and a garbage truck in the same packaging, right? And we know that they're not the same scale, but everyone's like, whatever, like,
Yeah, it works.
But I love the Mini Cooper and I love garbage trucks, and it's all good. So I don't know. I think the XLs were beautiful product. Like, don't get me wrong. And Calvin has heard me talk about this for forever. The XLs were something like extraordinary in like the literal meaning of that. Like, they're just like, you've never seen anything like that before.
No, yeah.
But to put two huge monster pins on the back with this monster rubber backer on the back, it was almost like comical, right? Like, it's not a pin, it doesn't function as a pin. I know, God bless some people who've actually worn it as a
Oh
pin.
yeah, I've seen people at cons wearing like 2 XLs on their back.
but I'm very like, I'm a product guy, and I want to make sure I'm designing a product that functions well, not just looks well. And so the XL, it didn't function as a pin, and so for me, like, I want to do XLs, but when we figure out how to do XLs right,
Yeah.
XLs are really large, hard enamel pieces of art. That's what they are.
Mhm.
And then there's this other thing that we were doing with XLs, which I was not like, I wasn't really bought into it, which is we take, whatever character of 3-inch and then make an XL of them. And so that broke the whole scale thing, because now you have a mini Figpin mini Mickey Mouse and a 3-inch Figpin Mickey Mouse and an XL Mickey Mouse. So obviously we're not paying attention to the scale relationship.
Right.
But then other characters like,
Godzilla,
Evangelion or Godzilla, it does kind of make sense, like, because it's a larger pin. And so, but it's in the past. I mean, we did what we did.
Yep.
And have you thought of doing, like, I mean, is there any genre that you haven't touched that you're thinking of touching? Like any category or any, style of Figpin?
Yeah, two come to mind. One is that one is a category that we're actually attacking right now on the licensing side, which is just horror in general.
Oh yes, I was hoping you'd say horror.
And so that's gonna be an interesting one, because like horror is not really like, you don't have like ensembles of characters in horror. It's always just one really sick person, And so we're gonna have to figure out how to develop that. If it's like, maybe 1 or 2 different versions of them or scenes or something, because I don't like to do one-off pins. This is something that that I've pushed really hard for in our planning is for us to not just do like one pin and then never again, and then it's floating in our catalog like as a total rando pin. I always feel like you want to tell a better story than just one pin. Two would be nice. 3 is nicer. So horror is one of them. The other one that I'm always talking about that I really want to see happen is what I call Figpin Academy, which is really everything public domain or educational. So think, famous artists, scientists, historical figures, Egyptian gods, mythological creatures,
Astronaut program.
Spacesuits,
That'd be cool.
space stages, everything that is, I don't want to say educational, but everything that is kind of grounded in our history, our collective history, our collective, like imagination. I like Goku as much as the next guy, but it would be really cool to see, NASA spacesuits, and it'd be really cool to see, Greek gods and things like that. I also think that kind of IP can find completely new homes, as we try to find new customers and new fan bases out there. Having like Egyptian gods in museum gift shops, for example, I think is a really brilliant pairing, because when you're walking out of an Egypt show through the gift shop, you want to grab something that keeps that memory with you, what you just experienced.
Yeah,
and
of course.
postcards are nice and all, but like a fig pin is pretty freaking cool,
Right.
Well, the funny thing is now that you
They've already.
Well, the funny thing is now that you say that, I would, I do like going to museums and stuff like that. But you always go to the gift shop and you buy something you throw away after a while, or something that gets lost in the shuffle. But as a
Right.
collector, and Figpin, and you're like, oh wow, there's a Figpin for this. You just opened up a whole nother door. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that you've already just like the Statue of Liberty, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and the ones that we did then, those are kind of along those lines of branching out into those things that are not necessarily licensing type stuff.
Yeah, you could ask Eric, like, what were the easiest pins ever to draw, and it would be Lady Liberty and Sasquatch, because there is no licensing feedback. They're like, he was the licenser, he was the on them. And from the perspective of the fans, they loved both of them. That Lady Liberty was our best selling, or our fastest selling fig pin or Comic-Con in 2020.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Now for horror, if I may, Jason is different in every movie. So you could do a different Jason for every movie. There's the video game Jason, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think, but again, that's why I'm glad you're kind of thinking about it, because if we said we're going to make just one Jason and that's it, and we move on to something else, you're not giving that property the respect that it deserves. And for me, that's really the key here, is make every single fig pin special. Make it
its own.
best that it could be.
Now, another question. This one is a question for Calvin as well. When we did our podcast with Calvin, he kind of at the end was like, hey, between us, I might have something going on with Figpin. And how did that whole thing come to light from your side of things? Like, how did you guys start working together?
Mm-hmm.
I think Allison, who worked at Figpin for a while, saw some of the stuff that I'd done on YouTube, and she reached out to me. And from there, a relationship just started to form between Amado, myself, Eric, and the other team at Figpin, and kind of like-minded, loved the print, and they kind of welcomed me into the family. So it's been pretty cool ride.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When I don't remember how I how it happened, but I came across your channel on YouTube, and I was like, I really like this guy. I like the energy, the positivity, the fact that you really liked our product. That was also a good thing. And
I mean, that always helps.
and so I was like, yeah, let's try and connect with this guy. This is this can only lead to good things, and I think it has. I've asked Calvin to help on various projects, including like the warehouse event that we had in Irvine and our cons, and he's just he's just super at everything he does. So more Calvin, definitely.
Now, quick question: would you ever consider doing like and this just came to my head, and I just wondered if you ever even did it, but like a mystery Figpin?
Like a blind,
yeah, like a blind box type
a
deal.
Blind box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Because I noticed company like Funko, for example, they like to do that every once in a while, and it kind of brings a little bit of excitement in a sense,
Yeah, and I came from the godfather of that, Kid Robot, and the joy of that opening up a blind box is there's always something fun about not knowing what you're gonna get.
Yeah. We actually, so this is like a big conversation. The way that I perceive Figpin, right, is like an elevated premium brand, right? And again, I come from a different world, but to me, elevated, premium, and surprise don't mix.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? If I go into like a Ferrari dealership, they're gonna be like, "Hey, congrats, you got the yellow one." So, but that's not the one that I wanted. They're like, no, it's a mystery car. Like, that's how we roll here. So for me, it's really all about like, this is the thing that you're getting. It's going to be the absolute best thing ever. Now, for the mystery component, we have the app, right? The app has the sequence number that shows up. That sequence number can give you different types of bonuses or story cards. With certain lines, we have the Figpin Chase, which can trigger you getting like the ability to buy a rare gold version of it. So for the Figpin 3-inch, we've talked about it. I have some mock-ups of like paper boxes that the Figpins go in, and that was going to, that was going to be some kind of blind version, but there's absolutely internal debate about this, but for me the Figpin 3-inch is the Ferrari, right? Like you know exactly what you're going to get because you custom ordered it a year ago. You actually don't want to be surprised when they pull off the current. Not that I've ever bought a Ferrari, or am I anywhere near even being able to buy a Ferrari sweatshirt. I just, just from like brands and how brands present themselves. That being said, it doesn't mean we can't explore other types of products that use that mechanism, the blind mechanism. I know it's very popular, and I think we've gotten to a place where we can branch out and try different product types and explore different categories and different mechanisms. So, keep your keep your eyes peeled for stuff like that.
I do like that answer though. You don't put a bumper sticker on a Ferrari, pretty much. Like, you know what you're gonna get.
I think you said it best. You don't put a bumper sticker on a Ferrari. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What if it's a funny bumper sticker though?
Yeah, I really don't think
damage a Ferrari.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, also, this is coming from the guy who has a bunch of anime decals on his Lexus. So,
listen, man.
Calvin, I thought you were.
I'm thinking about getting my Tesla wrapped. So,
Come on, man, do it. Just do it.
One of the things, and this is kind of like me on the what do you call it? Like on the psychiatry couch here is I moved out to California like 2.5 years ago, and one of the weird observations that I've made over there is how almost everybody, almost everybody there, leaves the license plate frames on their cars from the dealership. Like, this car was bought at, Big Bob's Lexus, whatever. And I just like, I can't believe that so many people just accept that. They accept that.
Nah, bro.
Yeah, that seems kind of tacky.
Free marketing, man. Free marketing. Screw that.
As a consumer, like,
The first thing I take off.
same here, right? Like I actually tell the guy, hey, before I leave, can you take that off? And you don't see that as much here in New Jersey as you do in California. So I don't know why that is. So I go, when we're talking about stickers on like bumper stickers and stuff, there's this whole debate about like exclusive stickers on packaging and on boxes, for like pops and Figpins and stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like the exclusive sticker on the outside of the packaging is like the bumper frame. I mean the license plate on your car. I got this car from Joe's like, or like, you don't need that. Your car is beautiful without that.
It's crazy how the sticker became such a thing.
No, but the argument is like, no, if it has the Joe's Lexus Emporium's frame on it, it makes it more valuable. It's like, no, it doesn't. It's just
it really doesn't.
Okay,
it's a bumper sticker.
Now you're totally making me question every con exclusive I've got with a sticker that I could have got someplace else without the sticker.
I'm the weirdo. I'm the outlier.
No. I totally get what you're saying though, because like it is the same thing in the packaging when it comes down to it.
I'm not gonna lie though. They started putting on movies. They started putting Rotten Tomato sticker on the movies now on the Blu-rays, and I'm like, ooh, that looks awesome.
But with Figpin, one of the things that I like about one of the things that I like about Figpin is that you can take it out of the packaging and it doesn't change the value of it. You can try doing that with a pop. I've watched people unbox pops on YouTube and the slightest little ding or dent, but the beauty of the Figpin is that you can actually use it in different functions, in different settings. Like I have all my Excels that I'm praying that comes back at some point in the future, display with my statues, because they're not pins. They're very beautiful pieces of art. And it doesn't change the value because I took it out of the packaging to enjoy it.
Yeah. I think it's about ritual, really. It's not about packaging or crease. I think that each category or each collectible or each world has this ritual built around it, and people respect that ritual. People want to adhere to that ritual, and I understand that. I accept that. It's just that since I represent a part of Figpin, I can define that ritual. Mm-hmm. Our ritual is different. Our ritual is not about a sticker on the outside of the packaging. Our ritual is about the laser engraved in the freaking metal. Like that's that matters. And so again, that's the hill I'm kind of gonna die on. But because to this day, like literally to this day, like on Discord, was it yesterday? We're having the same debate. Stickers versus engraving on the product, but again, it's about ritual, and you have to just accept it.
Well, then I guess you've done it right with your whole thing about the Ferrari, because if you think of like the statues that are next to David, the big statues from the companies that Calvin collects and David collects, those you can take out of the box and they don't lose their value. So you've done the same thing with a smaller item, which has not really been done before. Usually small items tend to stay in the packaging.
Right. Yeah. And also we've designed it where the pin, the metal part, like that's the value. The card and the box and the sleeve. We actually manufacture excess amounts of that stuff, and we have like a warehouse full of that stuff. We just haven't gotten around to systematizing it where the collectors can buy those replacements.
Oh, that's
Or
interesting.
That's pretty
get
cool.
them. Yes, we probably won't be selling them per se, but because we think that if you buy a Figpin with a sleeve that's cracked, you should be able to get a replacement sleeve, right?
I actually like that. I like that idea.
Yeah,
There's a lot of companies that don't do that.
Yeah, just in case.
No company does that.
and again, this is us being like, like not coming from that world and just trying to challenge how things are done. But I think, I think being able to like refresh the packaging and have it be exactly, because it was actually made at the same time when the original packaging was made.
Yeah.
It makes it creates the ritual, right, or adds to the ritual, and it also pays respect to the collector. Like what we're saying to the collector is like, hey, we're not going to say tough luck, buddy, that's just how it is. No, we're going to try to figure out a way to make your collectible the best that it can be.
I like that.
Yes, I like
I
that
like
too.
that because, like,
Absolutely.
I mean, I collect a bunch of things coming down to some fake pins, some Funko statues and whatnot, and like I can talk about Funko. They get shipped from other companies like Target, Walmart, this and that, but not every shipping company actually cares for how they ship the product. So when you get the product, sometimes that box is dinged or whatever, and it's like a hassle. It's like, oh crap,
Yeah.
now it's
Yes. Worst
now
feeling
it's
in the
worth
world.
maybe 25% of what it was really worth.
Right.
With Figpin, it's a little different because like you just mentioned, you can take it out of the packaging, and the value is the actual pin itself, right? And I do like the fact that you're saying that you're thinking of making replacement packaging, because that'll kind of get rid of that stress and headache that I dealt with in the past with certain collectibles that I collect.
Right.
Yeah. So good move on that.
Smart.
Yeah.
We're trying, we're trying. I think we screw up plenty of things as a company, but like we're still at a size where we can talk, and we do, like I know I do, like talk to the community all the time, get the feedback, and like I still have the ability right now to like send an email to our manufacturing partners and tweak the product. Like we don't have to go through some big bureaucratic process that will lead to nothing happening. And like I can still make the product better. Eric still makes the product better, and he does every single day. We're constantly improving this thing. My dev team, like all day, all night, we keep tweaking, polishing this thing. So like as long as the fans are into Figpin, we're going to be into Figpin. We're going to keep making it better.
Well, it seems like Figpin is only growing and growing every time we go to a convention or we see something. It just keeps getting bigger. So I think it's got a ways to go.
Doing something
I mean,
right.
it gets us up bright and early at every convention. So
Yeah.
Calvin knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys stood in line at another booth for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So, I mean, there's probably 1,000 more questions we can ask you, but we don't want to keep you all night. There's a question that David asks every podcast. David?
I mean, how do I tweak this one?
Get out of New York safely.
What advice would you give to someone trying to start up like a collectible, like a company, like how you did? I know it's a lot of trial and error, but what would you tell someone trying to get into something like what you do?
Or just create something new, or create a brand or something that they're just really passionate about.
To get up and going from
That's
the
a better
beginning.
way of explaining it. Yeah.
Up and going from the beginning.
Right. Like I'm actually going to go back to our beginning of our conversation. With what I went to school for, architecture. The thing about architecture is that very rarely, if ever, you go and you build or design something that you think is cool. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
like architecture is always about trying to deliver intelligent design to a specific like design criteria, right? If you're doing if you're doing a house, the first thing you ask is like, where's the plot of land? What kind of like solar orientation does it have? Like what kind of exposure does it have? What are the setbacks? What is the budget? How big is the family? You design for the parameters, right? You design for the client, for the customer. And very rarely is it just like, well, I'm going to do what I like because I'm passionate about it. And that's just what it's going to be. Because if you're trying to commercialize a product, if you're trying to sell a product, it's not going to be about you. It's really going to be about the community, or what the buyers are going to be interested in. That being said, what makes architecture special is that in the end, when you follow all the design criteria to build something, the thing that makes it more special than other built projects is what you bring to it as an individual, right?
Yeah.
So you as the architect do have a chance to express your own ideas, your own thoughts, your own beliefs into the built project. And that's what gives it that special kind of touch that people may or may not see, but they feel it. And so to answer your question, I think it's really important to look at things from a like design parameters first. Like, what is it that I'm trying to solve for as a creator? And then how can I bring my unique perspective or unique touch to it? But it's all about research up front. Like, do as much research as humanly possible up front before you say, and now I'm going to express myself. Because you can express yourself without research all day long. It's just it probably won't be a commercial success, right? It'll just be personal expression, which is perfectly fine. Like, I think people should do that all the time. But I think your question is very specific. It's like, how do you build something that could be a commercial success or a business success?
Yeah.
And that is, understand the criteria, understand the design parameters or the design criteria first. Like, what is the market like? What are the different price points? What are the materials? How much does it cost to make things like I'm thinking of? How can this one thing grow into many things? If you have like one really good idea for one move, maybe it doesn't have enough legs to become a whole series of ideas. And maybe you should ask yourself, is there a way I could kind of rethink this where it could become a whole series of ideas instead of just the one thing? It's like you see these like Kickstarters that were really brilliant, like just awesome idea. They do a Kickstarter and it's successful, and then they die as a company because they never had figured out what's next. They're able to deliver like that one thing, and then nothing after that. And so they raise $100,000 and they spend $105,000 and it's over. And then they're like, okay, well, what do I do now? Because they were trying to solve for just that one thing, which was the one project for that one Kickstarter, instead of trying to figure out the bigger picture. So I don't know if that's like a clear answer, but that's how I would answer it, from my perspective, with my background and with my experience at Figpin.
It makes a lot of sense, honestly.
Even with us doing YouTube, what you're saying really resonates, because as we do it, we learn, at first it's the things we wanted to do, but now we're like, all right, we got to figure out what the audience wants,
right?
And the bigger picture, or can we do a series that, we don't want a one-off? How can we make sure that this can expand into other things? So it totally makes sense.
One of the biggest, like, because I'm a little bit of a YouTube junkie. Like, that's one of the biggest complaints of creators on YouTube, is that the algorithm is basically forcing them to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
When they personally want to explore different things, but they know that won't service or serve the algorithm. And so they're having this internal struggle, like, you know, do I keep making YouTube happy or do I make myself happy?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
The algorithm is a pain in the butt. Me and Jonathan were just talking about that the other day. It's like we can't figure it out.
Yeah, like
crazy.
So we'll do one video that does amazingly well, then we'll do another video that's like it, and then it doesn't do. We're trying to figure the whole thing out. But yes, exactly what you said makes perfect sense to us, and hopefully it will to everybody else. Calvin, you have anything to add to that?
No, I think it's very, I actually had to take a step back for that very same reason and start thinking and contemplating what it is that I'm actually, what is my goal? What am I trying to do? And is what I'm trying to do something somebody wants to see, hear, or be a part of?
Yeah.
Yep. That is the end goal. We really do appreciate your time and hanging out with and sitting in your car in the middle of New Jersey in a parking lot.
I've been nervous about that the whole night.
Honestly, I keep thinking that I'm gonna see something in the background like the entire time.
Also,
I've been nervous about this whole time.
Also, the best part, this is Halloween time, so he's just sitting in a rainy parking lot.
I've seen too many horror movies lately, so it's messing me up a little bit.
But yes, we do appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on our small little podcast and hanging out with us. And we can't wait for everyone to see this. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to do this anytime. If you guys want to do it again, talk about other subjects or other specific aspects of what we do, just give me a I'm here.
Hey, we definitely. Hey,
thank you.
Maybe one day we'll come out to the California and we'll come. You can let us come to the office. How about that? Something.
Well, I don't know. We don't know, man. There may be a 3.0 warehouse party. We don't know. This is our third annual party, man. You would be more than welcome to join us at that party.
Yep.
But yeah, dude, this was awesome. Can't wait for people to see this. And thanks again. Also, we will have all the links if you want to know anything about Figpin. We'll have all the Figpin links below. We'll have Calvin's YouTube channel link below. And hey, like and subscribe to our channel too. That'd be nice. And thanks again. May the force be with you.
Thank you guys.
Take it easy.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.